Three, two, one, action. Welcome back to episode 17 of As Seen on Screen. I'm Gracie.
And I'm Nicole, and this is your source for entertainment news, reviews, interviews, and conversations.
You can find us wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts on Spotify and YouTube.
Well, we have tons of great news to discuss today. Lots of gossip, I feel like, in particular. So let's get right into it. Gracie, what do you want to start with today?
Starting off strong, Hulu released their first look at Glen Powell and Chad Powers and revealed that they have officially started production, which is exciting. I don't know how to feel about this photo of Glen Powell because I saw it in the comments. Someone said he looks like a rip-off version of Tom Cruise pretending to be Matthew McConaughey.
I saw that.
And I feel like that is the most accurate description I could give to this photo. Like I don't know. What do you think?
He looks like if you mashed Alec Baldwin and Matthew McConaughey together, this is what you would get.
It's definitely a big change from Twisters.
No one is gonna be simping over Glenn in this movie.
You never know.
Well, okay, this is true.
Someone on TikTok will.
I don't know, but he's so booked and busy. My goodness. I feel like every time we turn around to do something, we're like, Glen Powell is now recording this movie.
I feel like it's a phase in Hollywood where we pick someone and we're like, you're the it man for like this consecutive period of time until
Yeah.
you either A, mess up, or B, a new heartthrob comes onto the scene. Like Nicholas Galitzine. He was booked and busy, and then all of a sudden, quiet. I still love him, but now we have Glen Powell.
I feel like he is still booked and busy. He's just actually booked at the moment. Like
He's busy
he's
at the
filming
moment.
everything.
But like, you know what I mean. When was
Yeah,
the last time you saw someone post about Nicholas Galitzine versus
this
the
is
amount
true.
of thirst traps I see with Glen Powell in a white shirt and a cowboy hat?
Yeah. Well, besides your secret fan account for Nicholas. No, I'm kidding. That's true
Yeah.
though. I think this will be interesting to see his transformation. I feel like it's a different role for him than we've seen necessarily in the past. It's also a series, so we haven't seen have we seen him in anything since Scream Queens series wise? I don't know.
Iconic. I remember watching, I saw someone post his like a few clips of him in Scream Queens, and I completely forgot that he was in it up until I saw that clip, and I was like, oh my God, I used to be obsessed with this show. And seeing the growth that this man has had is crazy.
You gotta love Chad Radwell. I mean,
Who doesn't?
he was a sassy little king over there.
Dude, I think I repressed a lot of Scream Queens. Like I see clips of it now and it kind of scares me. Not in like scary, but like the Senorita Awesome. How did we watch that with a
You know,
straight face?
I actually just rewatched the first season like a month ago, and then I tried to watch the second season, and I think I only got
The second season
two.
definitely went downhill. Like I
Second season.
remember thinking that when it first came out, but I was just obsessed with everyone. Also, not to brag, but when Scream Queens season 2 came out, I had posted something about it, and Taylor Lautner liked 2 of my photos on Instagram.
How are you still here? I would be dead.
I
I'd be
cried.
gone.
I
I cried.
remember freaking out because I was like, what is Taylor Lautner doing stalking my Instagram and liking 2 of my photos? And it was such a validating moment for me because I was like, wow, he knows I exist.
You know what I thought was funny in Twisters? You know how that guy's name was Boone in Twisters? Because
Yeah.
that's Nick Jonas's character's name in Scream Queens,
Oh my gosh.
right?
That's crazy. I also forgot Nick Jonas was in that until I saw him the other day and I was like, wow. I just really repressed all of Scream.
Well, next on the list, Millie Bobby Brown, Bon Jovi. I was looking at that and I'm like, I can't mess that up. I cannot mess that name up.
That's great. I'm so happy that she totally separate topic, but I'm so happy that she took on the last name. It's a long name, but like
But it's iconic.
power to you, girl.
Yeah.
Power to you.
So
Anyway,
Millie Bobby Brown Bon Jovi is making a film adaptation of her debut novel, 19 Steps, and it's in the works with Netflix.
I am not surprised about this in the slightest. Like,
No,
this girl has carried Netflix for how many years now?
Miss Millie she's been booked with Netflix. She's constantly just with Netflix all the time.
She is the Nicholas Galitzine of Netflix.
Yeah, what Nicholas Galitzine is for Prime Video, Millie Bobby Brown Bon Jovi is for Netflix.
Because she started off with Stranger Things, obviously such an iconic role for her at a young age. But then more recently we had Damsel, which was this huge thing because everybody loved seeing her front and center, but also she was very a part of the production process. So it was kind of like her own little film baby.
Yeah.
And then now we have her debut novel, which did really well, release wise. I haven't read it yet, but I do want to read it, although I'm not huge into like war books. I think it's an interesting topic for her, but it is inspired off of her family, she said. And now she has it at Netflix. She's a businesswoman, and we love
Yeah.
that.
She also had, side note, on Netflix, there was Enola Holmes too.
Oh my gosh, yes, one and two. I
Yeah.
don't know how I forgot about that because Henry Cavill's in that.
Who can forget Mr. Gavel? I mean,
And Sam Claflin, both iconic people. And
Helena Bonham Carter.
yeah, those were iconic.
Oh, and Louis Partridge. I forgot he was in it too. Oh my God.
That was his big break. I don't know how we forgot about him.
Sorry, Mr. Lee.
Remember all those rumors that they were dating?
Wrong.
Very wrong. Just very good friends, kind of like her and Noah Schnapp. But speaking of dating, we got breakups and we got some new relationships this week. One that I am thoroughly shocked about is also Millie's Stranger Things co-star, Joseph Quinn and Doja Cat were seen together with some PDA. And honestly, this is crazy. Like, this is manifestation at its finest, people. There was that drama back in, I don't even know when, I want to say like 2022, where Doja Cat had hit up Noah Schnapp on Instagram and said that she thought Joseph Quinn was just a very fine man. And he sent her his Instagram and said, you should slide into his DMs. Then he proceeded to post that screenshot on his social media, and Doja Cat was not very happy with that. So it went into this whole feud between her and Noah Schnapp, where she was like, don't post personal messages. And he was like, I was just trying to help you. Long story short, that died down. And now we're here in 2024, and Doja Cat did slide into the DMs apparently because they seem to be together. I don't know.
They
What do you
do.
think about this?
I think I didn't see it coming, that's for sure.
No.
Shocked. Shocked is the right word. But I need to I should edit the clip last week. So when we were filming the podcast last week, that's when the news first broke, that there was images of these two together. And Gracie's like, hold on, we need to look at this. And yeah, Gracie has just found out something very exciting based on her face and covering. Please
Sorry,
share.
we did not need to add this in.
Oh no.
But do you remember when there's a bunch of drama because Doja Cat said that she really wanted to go on a date with Joseph Quinn? And it's the most blurry picture of two people at a club I have ever seen. Dubois did not come through with those screenshots because they were blurry. It was only, I didn't believe it because I was like, this could be anyone.
Yeah.
And then literally a few hours later, they posted like high quality photos. And I was like,
Yeah.
damn,
There we
this
are.
is real.
You know, I think they make a cute couple. I didn't see this coming, but now that they are together, I think that they actually are quite cute together.
They look happy and seems like they vibe well together. So
Yeah. Someone who has not been vibing well together, and I'm sure, no offense to these two, this shocks nobody. Um, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck have officially filed for divorce. Jennifer Lopez filed for divorce last week in LA. And so these two, you know what I think is so dumb? They don't have a prenup.
I was gonna say that was the only part of that headline that shocked me.
What were these two thinking? I mean, Jennifer Lopez has to make significantly more money than Ben Affleck does, I feel. I think, or at least is worth much more, I think, for sure. Let's look it up. But I would definitely do between her music, um, and her movies. Like we've seen her release that whole documentary.
I
Has
am here for the drama from that documentary resurfacing though.
oh yeah,
Like, oh, was that the beginning of the end? Because
maybe.
people are now saying that J-Lo is in the wrong because she was reading and using very personal love letters from Ben Affleck to her team and to producers and songwriters. And he found out and he wasn't super happy because, again, they were very personal. But on the flip side of that, he did know what was going on to an extent. So it's like a 50-50, but I also feel like that's very messed up to read your personal letters to everybody and their friends.
Yeah, and especially because in the videos they're like kind of laughing about it too. I
Yeah.
would feel
I
so
was like, oh,
bad. Not that I look at Ben Affleck and think, what a big teddy bear. No, that's not what
yeah,
I'm saying.
no, but like still, no
But
one deserves that.
no, of course not. Okay, so I've looked it up. What's your guess? What is the each of their net worth?
I say for some reason I'm thinking 36 million for J-Lo.
400 million for J-Lo. And what is Ben Affleck's?
Well, considering I'm not very good at guessing, um, 400 for J-Lo, 300.
150.
Okay, I was closer.
Very close.
Very close. I don't know why my brain was thinking 36. Maybe it's because she's just gone downhill with all the hate. And I was like,
Yeah,
maybe she just lost a lot.
yeah, yeah.
No one's really surprised by this. Like, the only thing I'm giggling about is Jennifer Gardner must be over there laughing. Like,
Okay,
you
but
idiot.
right? But you know what I also saw, and a good point, that another thing with these notes that JLo was reading was that some of them were back from when they were together in the early 2000s. So it was proving that because then Ben gave them to her, so Ben kept them for all these years. So it was like people were like, was this an indirect way to say like Jennifer Garner be like, well, your husband kept these even through your marriage, he had them this entire
Yeah.
time and then gave them to me.
Honestly, J-Lo and Ben's whole relationship just doesn't sit right with me. They did Jennifer Garner dirty. It's just been like a whirlwind that they used for promotion mostly. And that kind of sucks. But you know what? Maybe it was real, but it came to an end. Again, third time's a charm, maybe.
Oh God, let's hope not.
We'll see in a few years, people.
We'll see. We'll be like 40. They'll be like, I don't know how old they are now. No one's surprised, but I am very intrigued to see what happens in regards to the whole no prenup situation. How long this takes to sort out. What else we'll
Yeah.
find out, because I'm sure this is not the only thing we'll find out. I'm
I feel
sure
like it's not going to be a clean split.
definitely not. But yeah, we'll see. This shocking news over on Disney Plus this week, I think for some people, I'm not a big Star Wars person, but the social media thinks it's a big deal. Star Wars The Acolyte was canceled after one season. Did you watch this show? I don't know if you did. No. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge Star Wars person, so I'm not, in touch with like the different series and things like that. So Gracie's probably better at explaining this.
I don't know. I'm kind of mad over this cancellation. Not mad, but like disappointed. Because although I didn't watch it, it's just because I didn't have the time to. Like, I want to watch it. I just, it's on a long list of things I need to watch. I did hear great things about this. Everybody who I know that enjoys Star Wars really enjoyed this show. But I feel like a big part of this cancellation was hate culture and cancel culture because they were not happy with Amanda Lestenberg being the lead in this series for whatever reason. Some people didn't like her because of her race. Some people didn't like her because of her sexuality. some people just felt it wasn't Star Wars enough. And I feel like that is ridiculous. Like, it is a fake world. Like, people, it is not that deep. And I was talking to a bunch of people that did interview for this series, and it was just the one constant thing that everybody kept bringing up was the hate that she was receiving for this role. And I think that's ridiculous. Like, she's an actress, it's a role. You either agree with it or you don't. You can turn it off. That's the magic of streaming services, is you can actually click off of what you're watching. So I do think that played a part in the cancellation, because it did get pretty good reviews and ratings from critics and actual fans. So
I think that's so dumb. I mean, how many times do you take an actor or actress in any role and say, yes, you are exactly the right fit for this character, whether it be physical appearance, personality-wise, like any other types of factors that you're looking at? Like, no actor or actress, whoever, usually fits to a T the person they're playing. They're an actor. They're acting.
yeah,
They're pretending. Like,
it's their job.
what we're paying them, no, what they're being paid for.
If that was the reason, like, that's just speculation because of like, I saw so much hate specifically for those reasons.
Yeah.
And I think that's ridiculous. So if that was the reason, boo, you guys suck. But keeping the drama going, Megalopolis trailer dropped. And you know what? I thought the trailer was good, but then 5 minutes after I watched it, I think it was Variety posted a thing. They were like, all the quotes at the start of this trailer have been fabricated. They are not true. They were never written. Why would you do that?
So basically, the start of the trailer, if you didn't get a chance to see the original cut of the trailer, it starts off with showing all these negative reviews for Francis Ford Coppola's now most well-known films, The Godfather, Dracula, Apocalypse Now, and it's these pretty renowned film journalists as well from like the 70s and the time periods that these were actually released.
It
Smashed
shows their
films.
name
It does.
and
And their
where
outlet.
they were writing for.
So like
So
blank New York Times, whoever it would be, or so on and so forth.
yeah.
Um, and the voiceover is just kind of, it's like ramping up to just be like, Francis Ford Coppola has always been ahead of his time. He's a renowned filmmaker. He always has been. He's always made these movies that maybe didn't necessarily get amazing reviews at the time, but now they're your most known films from their time period. Like The
Yeah.
Godfather is, the film. So anyways, after those are shown, it goes into the rest of the trailer. Doesn't actually give you a great depiction of what Megalopolis is. If you didn't know what like the short little synopsis we do have on the internet is. So like Gracie said, a few hours after this is released, starts coming out that all these reviews that they showed at the beginning of the movie are fake. No one can find them anywhere. So then Lionsgate almost immediately takes this trailer down. They released a statement saying we apologize to the film critics because, again, they used names of real journalists, but just the reviews were fake. So they apologized to the critics that they used, they apologized to Francis Ford Coppola, they apologized to the cast, whatever. They're like, this is inexcusable, which is like, how how is this
Did no
mistake?
one fact check?
How is this mistake made? Like, I'm sorry, what?
This was not a mistake. Let's be so real.
Oh no, no, no. So then 2 days ago now, I think, they released another statement basically saying that this was made with AI. At least that part was made with AI, I guess. And they have fired the individual who was in charge of that particular department and overseeing that part of the trailer, I guess. But I think this is just, personally, I think it's just a plan to get more interest in this film, to get it talked about a little bit more. Um, Maybe not a great way to go about it, but you know what? Honestly, I liked the trailer, like you said. I liked it with the reviews. I thought that was an interesting way. Not that it gave you a ton, not false reviews, but if they
Yeah.
had gone about it in a proper way and actually used real reviews, I mean, you can go on any type
There
of
were
film
definitely
critics.
bad reviews that were
Yeah,
real that they
you
could
can
have
find
used.
them. Like you could find them. It's not hard.
I
Um,
think they just wanted them to be notable, either critics or outlets. And I have so many problems with this. Like, I thought it was really cool when I thought the quotes were real. I was
Yeah,
like, damn, they're calling people out, but they're using it
exactly.
to their advantage. So
Yeah,
good for them. But you're diminishing that person's career. You're putting fake information on this outlet saying that they bash everyone. You're telling me not one person who was editing this fact checked? Like, there's no way it went through that many people. And they were like, yeah, this is a real quote. So it definitely was a plot to bring attention to this. But I definitely feel like they could get sued for defamation. I really hope that the critics that were involved in this, like that were written in this trailer, go to the movie and review it. Because I honestly want to see what their review is, knowing that
yeah.
these people were trashing them.
And like I understand too why they did this. I think I also was reading because they got pretty negative-ish reviews at Cannes when this film did have its world premiere. So I think they were kind of using this as a way to say like even though you're reading pretty bad reviews at the moment for this film for who has seen it so far, don't necessarily trust them because look at what they've said in the past and look at the movies they've given you type idea. Which again, if they were real, I honestly think that's genius.
Part of me is wondering if they paid the writers, like the critics.
I'm just so curious because I don't buy it at all that this was
Oh
AI
no,
and it was
not
just
at all.
like an oversight and they fired someone. I don't believe that at all. So I would love to
A
know.
company that big with names that big involved, there's no room for mistakes.
Like, I'm sorry, Lionsgate, do you just not check your trailers? I don't believe that at all. And it's Francis Ford Coppola. Like,
Yeah, with Adam Driver, like you're telling me they didn't watch it and we're like, like
like,
they wouldn't know. They wouldn't know, but like you have
yeah.
a whole team, you have money. There is no way you're playing this as though you didn't know.
And if you're
But I
making
do love Lionsgate, so no hate to them, but also very questionable decisions.
And like if you're making such a decision to like smash other people, I don't know, nothing makes sense about it, but I do think it's a brilliant PR move if that
Oh
is
yeah.
what it is. Because either way, it's got it talked about a lot. And especially leading up to more festivals and TIFF where it's having its North American premiere very shortly. I don't know. It's coming out in theaters the end of next month. Well, moving on to another film that we have more information on now. We just got the first official poster for Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy, which is the fourth film in the series. It comes out next Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2025. Now, they did release a trailer, at least in the UK, exclusively in theaters. They've been playing it, so it's not online as of yet, and I don't believe it's playing at all in Canadian or American theaters either. So we will see when that officially comes out for the public online to see as well. But yeah, I think I've only seen one because I thought I saw the last one, but I don't think I have. I think I've seen the first one for sure, but I have not seen The Edge of Reason and Bridget Jones's Baby. So gotta catch up on that. I have some time before next February. I'm just very curious at what is keeping this series alive.
Apparently Bridget Jones.
The first one came out in 2001, then it was 2004, then we had a big jump to 2016, and now 2025.
Here we go again with we do not always need sequels. This girl is just having a hard life. Another shock I didn't see coming. Ted Lasso keyword may be returning for season 4. I didn't expect it because season 3 was promoted and marketed as the end of Ted Lasso,
Yeah.
and the ending tied it up very nicely. And then all of a sudden we have season 4 is in the works, but apparently Ted Lasso might not be coming back to reprise his
Yes.
character. So if we don't have the main character, just do a spin-off series.
If there's no main character, what is the point?
Like, you closed it off on a good note. My mom's a big fan of it. She watched it and she was very upset that it ended with season 3, but she said it was a good ending and it is what it is. And then I told her about season 4 and she was like, how are they gonna do that?
See, the thing I don't get is that, like, great, bring it back if, fans want it and things like that. But then again, like, when you wrap it up and tie it nicely with a little bow and you end it and fans are happy with how you ended it, I get you might want to come back and do it, especially if you maybe weren't just able to. I don't know. I don't know why they necessarily wrapped it up. I think it's just weird to end it really well and then to be like, oh, just kidding, we're coming back again.
It's also very strange because it ended recently.
Yeah.
So this is like a quick turnaround for a show to be coming back. Like usually you wait a few years and you come back eventually for like a rerun or like a few return episodes just to see where they are now.
Yeah.
And this just seems very quick to me. It's like they almost knew they wanted to do a season 4, but they just didn't want to at the same time.
It's like Toy Story 5 for me. Why are we making Toy Story 5 when Toy Story 4 was perfectly concluded? I, but anyways, if you're a Ted Lasso fan, maybe you're excited,
Good news, maybe.
maybe you're confused, maybe we'll just have to wait till we find out more information. Okay, well, before we get on to the rest of our news, Gracie and I have a review this week that we would like to do. We were sent a screener for the new movie Out Come the Wolves, which is directed by Adam McDonald. If you have seen his work before, you've probably seen Backcountry. He is a Canadian director. These are Canadian films.
Out Come the Wolves follows, well, it starts as saying, now we are prey, which very ominous,
Very
very
ominous.
scary. It follows Sophie and her friend and her husband who are at a cabin deep in the wilderness for a weekend of hunting that turns into mayhem and a fight for survival when a pack of wolves attack a man, his female best friend, and her fiance. We want to start off by saying thank you for the screeners.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, it was definitely cool to watch. We were talking a bit about it before we started recording, despite it being a very action-packed film. We'll say action-packed because I don't know how else to describe gory and bloody and
Just violence. Violence.
fighting. Yeah, violent film. It does have a very short runtime, I believe, of
86 minutes.
yeah, it has a short runtime of 86 minutes. So not a lot of time to do a full story and go really in depth. But I felt like the plot of going camping or going hunting and then being hunted yourself just isn't super catching to me. Like it seems very plain, which is fine because all the best movies sometimes are very,
They're not like super in depth. Like they don't have to be complicated.
yeah, they have a very simple start and it expands into more in depth. But honestly, it just fell short for me. I did enjoy the action and the intensity of it, but it does get a little bit repetitive after the first few times, and there are a few plot holes. What do you think?
I think the performances were well done in this film. I love Missy Peregrym. If you watch FBI, if you've seen Rookie Blue, she's such a great actress. And even Joris and Damon also had great performances in this film too.
Mhm.
It's only the three of them in the whole movie. So there's character of Sophie, like you said, and then Nolan is Sophie's fiance, and then there's Kyle, who grew up with Sophie. They grew up hunting together. Both their families were hunters. But as they've gotten older, they've slowly grown apart a little bit, and Kyle meets up with Sophie and Nolan at Sophie's family's hunting cabin for a weekend. He is surprised to find out that they've just recently gotten engaged. He shares that his girlfriend and him just broke up because he was supposed to bring her with them. And so we find out he's a little bit jealous. Like you can tell, that's kind of one of the bigger ideas in this plot is that he's jealous because clearly he has feelings for Sophie, but they're not reciprocated. She's engaged to someone else, that kind of idea there. And so Nolan is a writer for a magazine that he's also the editor-in-chief of. He's writing some sort of article. We don't we have an understanding of that he's writing about food in this magazine. They're doing like a special feature, I guess, of it in the magazine on food, and he's taking the angle of hunting for your own food and, being in nature to get your own food, that kind of idea. So that's kind of the idea that his article revolves around. So he wants to learn how to hunt this weekend from these two experienced hunters so he can write more accurately. Sophie shares that she's given up hunting. She's also turned vegan, so she's not taking her fiance, but Kyle and Nolan are instead going out by themselves into the forest to hunt. And that's exactly what they do. That's what ends up happening. And they're unfortunately attacked when they are out there, and the plot progresses that way. So from there, after the attack, you have to watch to find out what happens exactly. But Sophie ends up coming out into the forest as well. And so now the three of them are all in the forest being chased by a pack of wolves, basically. But it's very, very gory. So like if you cannot like I don't know when I became a person, because again, if you watch podcasts, I love horror. I don't know when I became a person that can't handle like gore, like real gore, but I definitely felt a little uneasy after this film. If you've watched Backcountry, you know the same idea. Very, very visual in its violence. It shows a lot of gore, shows a lot of the attacks. I mean, just even like the sound of everyone just like screaming in pain.
It's a
Yeah,
jump scare.
it is. I'm like, I can't do this. But in that sense, it is very well done. If you like
Oh yeah.
horror, if you like violence, if you like that kind of horror films, suspense, like being hunted by animals, like that kind of idea with those films. It's very well done. Those aspects in this film are very well done.
Hmm.
It was just the storyline that slightly fell flat, like Gracie and I said, but otherwise, it's the fight scenes are great. So all those
Yeah.
elements in this film are great to see too.
Long story short, violence, action.
Gruesome, very
Yes.
gruesome.
Very bloody, very gory. So, as Nicole's letterbox review says, do not watch it with a full stomach.
Yeah, yeah, definitely don't. And it is coming out in theaters, so it comes out tomorrow, August 30th, in theaters, select cineplexes. If you'd like to hear more from the cast and director Adam McDonald, they are also doing a special screening at the Scotiabank Theatre in Toronto on Saturday, August 31st, and they're doing Q&A with Adam and Missy and Yoris and Damon. I believe they will all be there. You can buy tickets online at the Cineplex website to see that, so you can see the film in theaters, plus hear from the cast and director as well if you're interested.
It's always a really cool experience to have the cast and crew there while you're watching a movie, but to also get to ask questions right after you've watched it or before you've watched it. It's always a great experience from what Nicole and I have seen. So definitely go check it out if you can, if you're in the area, if there's tickets left.
So thank you again to Route 504 PR for opportunity to see this.
Okay.
And yeah, can't wait to bring you more reviews like this in the
In the
future.
future.
In other exciting news for this week as well, we just received the first look with the trailer and poster for Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, which is a documentary.
Honestly, I think it's so nice. I always love documentaries about celebrities. I think it's a great insight into their life, not only the work they did, but the work behind the scenes, like in their actual life, because obviously being an actor, an actress, or a writer, or just a creative in general is a full-time job. So it's nice to see how they balance it and how they find time for themselves. This one is especially heartwarming because it is a part of the DC universe. Obviously, he played Superman and he touched a lot of people with that role. So I think looking back at his life and not only the role, but the impact he had on people's lives is such a nice way to kind of honor his memory, but also keep it relevant to DC because they need to do that for it to be a DC film. Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I didn't watch Superman a lot growing up, so it's not super personal for me, but I from the trailer it just looks really heartwarming and very well thought out, and respectful on their part.
Which, like you said, is just so important. So that will be hitting theaters later this year. We'll talk about that more as it approaches. But yeah, that is coming, something to look forward to.
This next news I am not surprised about because I said it last week
Yep.
and I spoke it into existence. So there's another tally on our chart of making things happen.
I'm gonna start keeping that on my chalkboard right here, a tally of
Yeah.
everything.
My Lady Jane was obviously canceled after one season, but to no one's surprise, fans have now launched an online campaign to save the series from being canceled. So hopefully with enough signatures, they're hoping there will be another season. This is not the first time we have seen a campaign like this for a series. So I'm not surprised it happened. It happened with the OA, it happened with Manifest, it happened with Julie and the Phantoms. Lots and lots of shows have been canceled that people love and they want to bring it back. Sometimes these campaigns work. In Manifest's case, they did get a final season. Other people, like Julie and the Phantoms, still have not been renewed. So it'll be interesting to see if this campaign does do anything. I'm rooting for them though, because it was fast.
Like you said, the fan base is loyal to this, so obviously they're gonna fight for it. And like you mentioned too, this is very fast turnaround. Like it hasn't even been 2 months since the show came out. Yeah, like we're already fighting for a season two. It's kind of crazy. So hopefully it gets turned around again. The decision gets kind of appealed there, and they do get to do a second season. But only time will tell. We will see as this kind of progresses.
We are getting close to the end of the episode. So let's start with our weekly stuff. What
Yeah.
was your weekly watch, Nicole?
My weekly watch, I'm so excited to talk about it, was Blink Twice. I saw that the day came out. I thought it was really, really, really well done. I was very impressed with this film. This film is Zoe Kravitz's directorial debut. I think she did a fantastic job. The film also stars Naomi Ackie. It also has Channing Tatum, Christian Slater, Simon Rex, Adria Arjona, Kyle MacLachlan. I love Kyle MacLachlan. He will always be my Orson in my heart. And yeah, there's a few other cast members as well, but those are the main cast. If you haven't heard what this film is about, we did talk about it very briefly last week on the episode, but basically Channing Tatum plays a big tech guru. He is the CEO of a tech company who actually has recently stepped down because he had committed some we actually don't get clarity on what he did, but he had done something that was not very well received by the public eye. So he stepped down in an attempt to better himself. He said to start therapy, that kind of thing. So he buys a private island and he goes to this private island for basically a year and no one hears from him. So the movie starts off a year after these events have all occurred. We see his character doing interviews again for the first time, just talking about his journey, this recovery journey, this personal recovery journey. And they're at a gala, and Naomi Ackie's character seems to be a very avid fan of his. She's working as a cocktail waitress at this big reception that they're having for the tech company that he owns. And at the end of it, she sneaks off with her friend, her coworker as well. She brings fancy dresses and they go dress up in the bathroom and they sneak into the banquet hall. And she ends up meeting him and she falls. She makes a big scene for herself. And he comes over to her, makes sure she's okay. They hang out for the rest of the night and he ends up inviting her back to this private island he's going back to with these individuals who appear to be his friends, and they fly to this remote private island with a group of complete strangers. And of course, on this island, it's all just about partying, drinking, drugs. When they first get there, though, they have to give in their phones, so they now have no way of communication. And inevitably, things start to go wrong, as you would probably assume they would if you went to a private island with no one you knew. I think performance-wise, Naomi Ackie blew it out of the water. Channing Tatum did a really good job, but I loved Adria Arjona's character in this film. If you saw Hitman earlier this year, she was co-starring in that film with Glen Powell, and she just does a brilliant job in this film. Her and Naomi Ackie really stood out to me. But yeah, it's a psychological thriller, so I won't tell you what starts to go wrong, but basically they kind of start to slowly see something that's wrong and they're trying to figure out what to do from there. So I think Zoe Kravitz did a great job of bringing this to life. You could tell there was so much passion put into this film. It looked like it was so fun to make. If you watch the movie, if you see the party scenes, I think that would have been so cool to make. One thing about Blink Twice as well, definitely a trigger warning, which I know they've put it online on social media, as well, things like that. There is a lot of violence in this film, specifically sexual violence. So that is in the film, that is shown in the film, discussed in the film. So that is there just for anyone to be aware of. That is in this movie too. But yes, there are tons of little intricacies to watch out to for in this film. So definitely keep an eye on the little details they're trying to make a point to show you early on in the film, because they will circle back to some of those at the end and give you a bit more of a description on why and how that kind of all ties this big puzzle together. But yeah, so just keep an eye out for the little things. If you think you should be remembering it or like paying attention to it, do that and remember what it is for later on. But yeah, the ending I thought was great. The one thing, but I went and saw with my sister, the one thing her and I both said is that in our opinion, they had a great ending with the second last scene, and they added one more scene in, which I could definitely see why she did that, and I thought that was smart to the plot as well. But I definitely personally could have done without the very last scene, and the scene directly before that, I think would have been a really stellar ending to it. But nonetheless, it didn't take away from the love I had for this film. So that's in theaters now. You can check that out if you love psychological thrillers. It's a great film. I loved it so much. And it's a great summer watch too, because it takes place at this tropical island all outside. So it's very much like kind of end of summer vibes for that too. What was your weekly watch, Gracie?
My weekly watch was The Union on Netflix,
Ooh.
the new Mark Wahlberg film, and Halle Berry. It was a good movie. It was a good action. I can't say thriller because it wasn't scary, but it was a good action rom-com. The chemistry that they had was amazing, and I love seeing that they were friends when they were younger, and now they get to do this together. So, for those of you who don't know what it's about, it just recently came out, and it is about old flames and a new mission. A New Jersey construction worker, played by Mark Wahlberg, goes from a regular guy to an aspiring spy when his long lost high school sweetheart recruits him for an espionage mission. This was a roller coaster, let me tell you. It was all over the place, but in a good way, because it starts out with Mark Wahlberg living his life, and he's kind of stuck in like that high school mentality still. He still lives with his mom. He has a lot of one night stands, still drives the same truck that he did in high school, wears the same type of clothes, doesn't really like working, but does the job just so he can go out and have money to drink with his friends. Very high school-esque type vibe to this character. And then obviously his world changes when his ex high school flame comes back into his life. And it was crazy because they went on a date and she drugged him so that he passed out. And then he woke up and he was at a spy center. So definitely a big change of pace for this film. But I do think it was so creative with the little digs they made at each other. Like you could tell they had really good chemistry. But it was also keeping you on the edge of your seat, wondering if they were gonna complete this mission, who was going to survive and who wasn't. The ending was crazy, huge plot twist. So I highly recommend it if you like action films, a good rom-com. Definitely had the comedy in there because they were just absolutely roasting each other throughout this. So yeah, check out The Union on Netflix now.
What is your song of the week, Gracie?
My song of the week is an album of the week.
Oh,
Is yours really?
same. Yeah.
Wow, look at us. Um, Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter. I've been long awaiting this album because I absolutely loved her previous albums all the way from back when she was a Disney artist. And I love seeing the growth that she's had. This album is very, very sexual. I'll give her that. She is being blatantly honest with her feelings, and I respect that. Overall, the songs were good. Is it one of my favorite albums? No, but I feel like it's one of those albums that when you listen to it a few more times and really look into the lyrics, you have a new appreciation for it. I do love Coincidence, though. Also, the bridge to that song is filled with drama. And I do have a feeling that one is about Shawn Mendes. And it made me giggle listening to the lyrics and thinking about like the kind of love triangle they've had with obviously Sabrina, Shawn, and Camila. There's some drama there. Also, shout out to Taste because the music video for that just dropped with the song and the album, and it features Jenna Ortega. And it is just a very gory but super cool music video. And I think the dynamic of these two powerhouse Disney ladies that have now made a huge name for themselves outside of the Disney realm is so iconic. Yeah. What was your song or album of the week?
Mine, and fun fact, same producer from Sabrina Carpenter's album, Thomas Rhett just released a new album titled About a Woman last week as well, same day as Sabrina's album came out, and it is fantastic. He had released some singles leading up to it, Overdrive, Gone Country, Beautiful as You. Those were all out prior to this as well. But yes, Thomas Rhett posted a video online to his producer, who same as Sabrina's, gave him a little pin with the Sabrina Carpenter's album cover for Short and Sweet on it, and he was wearing that around all day. But it's a great album. He wrote it for his wife. It's all about all these songs are dedicated to his wife, which I think is great. I love their love story. It's so cute. If you don't know, it's their like childhood sweethearts. They've known each other basically their whole life. So I think it's really sweet that way, and it's a great album. So you should definitely go listen to that as well.
Well, let's finish this off with some upcoming releases.
Yes, there are a ton of things coming out in both TV and films. Starting off today, we have Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Season 2, dropped today on Prime Video. So if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, that is exciting for you today. That has come out. Seen lots of press stuff about it so far too. Definitely some interviews all this week leading up to it. So yes, that is out today.
We also have Terminator Zero Season 1 on Netflix. I haven't heard a lot about this or seen much promo, so it'll be interesting to see how this does. I always think it's kind of risky doing an add-on to the Terminator series, let alone any series, so we'll see.
And also coming to Netflix today, we have the series Chaos. Not, I don't know too much about this one either. It basically is just a retelling of Greek mythology with a modern day spin to it. It stars Jeff Goldblum as Zeus. And then we also have characters who are playing Atropos, Sam Buttery, Zeus. We have two Zeus's ball boys. Susan Woolridge plays Pio Sathega. So yeah, that could be an interesting series to watch as well if you're into Greek mythology, those kinds of ideas. That is on Netflix today as well.
Moving on to August 30th, I'm excited for this one because I've seen a lot of promo for it. I've seen the trailers, and I think it's such a unique idea, but also very scary because it could happen.
Yeah.
Afraid, which is having its theatrical release, obviously, August 30th. And it follows the Curtis family, which is selected to test a new home device, which is a digital assistant called Aya, which is AI. Aya learns the family's behaviors and begins to anticipate their needs, and she can make sure nothing and no one gets in her family's way. So it's kind of like Megan, where you have this AI technology type device that comes into a home and helps the family, but gets very attached to them as well and starts to grow emotion and feeling, and it can get pretty violent from there. So I'm excited for that one. It's coming out in theaters.
I also think it's interesting too, because I think the difference between this and Megan is that we actually, I believe, from what the trailer looks like, we actually find out someone who's behind the AI. Because also, if you look at the trailer, or sorry, the poster, I mean, at least one of them, there's a few different ones, but there's one where the kid is looking at Aya right below the staircase.
Well,
Exactly. And you can see the shadowy figurine on the left-hand side on the staircase there. And if you watch the trailer, Aya is going through this little boy and the family and trying to get whoever is controlling this AI actually into their house. So you kind of have two different levels in this movie, almost of
mhm.
like the scare of the AI itself and what it's doing. And then you also have this other new layer of actually trying to get a real person into this house to do whatever they are planning to do with his family. But next up, we have a few other movies as well that are coming in more of a limited release. So they're not playing at every theater. We have You Gotta Believe, which stars Luke Wilson, and it's about a Little League baseball team of misfits who dedicate their season to a player's dying father. In doing so, they accomplish the impossible by reaching the World Series finals in a game that became an ESPN instant classic. So it is based on a true story. Like I said, stars Luke Wilson. We also have Molly Parker, Sarah Gadon, and yeah, it just looks like one of those heartfelt family sports true story movies. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen them. But yes, it is having its run in the theater tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, as we said before, Out Come the Wolves is obviously having its theatrical release. We reviewed it earlier in this episode, so make sure you go check it out. And then lastly, also on August 30th, we have 1992 is coming out in theaters as well. I got an early screener to this and I interviewed the cast, well, some of the cast. So definitely go check this out. This was such a good movie. Had me on the edge of my seat the entire time, but also so emotional, which is a very strange mix, but it just works. For those of you who don't know what it follows, in 1992, Mercer is desperately trying to rebuild his life and his relationship with his son amidst the turbulent Los Angeles uprising following the Rodney King verdict. Across town, another father-son duo, well, there's two sons in this actually, put their strained relationship to the test as they plot a dangerous heist to steal some very expensive merchandise, which contains valuable platinum from the factory where Mercer works. As tension rises in Los Angeles and chaos erupts, both families reach their boiling points when their worlds collide. Very dramatic, but also very heartfelt. So go check it out in theaters.
And that is everything for our upcoming releases for this week. So check all those out on streaming or in the theater this weekend. Lots coming and lots to see. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of As Seen on Screen. So fun chatting with you about all our entertainment news. Next week will look a little different for the next few weeks for us as we're heading into TIFF. Super exciting. Next week, we're actually having an opportunity to go up to Bobcaygeon to tour a movie theater museum. So Gracie and I will be bringing you lots of content from that. That's what next week's episode will look like. And then as we head into TIFF, we'll try to upload some episodes and an episode and some footage of our time at the festival. Gracie and I will finally be together in person to record stuff, which is very, very exciting. And of course, the week after that, following the festival, we'll have all of our reviews and thoughts of many of the films we see at TIFF. So lots of fun stuff coming up over the next few weeks. So make sure to tune in for all of that. Follow the socials. You can keep up there as well. But that's it for us for today. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Nicole.
I'm Gracie, and remember you can watch us or listen wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify or YouTube. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you then. Bye.
Bye.